It's the blatant staircase for me. Okay. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to name the thumbnail that. But anyways, we're talking about Chad Daybell's house is for sale, and we're going to go over the listing in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. My name is Paul. Today we're going to be reviewing the Chad Daybell realtor listing for his house for sale. A lot of you sent this to me. We saw it, so we're going to just go over it and look at it. Now, you saw my little opening, my comment about the stairs. If you recall, during trial, there's this whole thing, with Pryor and the witness and about the stairs and not being stairs and this, that, and the other, whatever. Now, also just some background information. Chad, I was going to say Chad Pryor. Attorney John Pryor, who is representing Chad Daybell, owned the house, basically like in lieu of payment or whatever. Well, obviously, he's wanted to get paid. Now, Chad's daughter, Emma, was living in the house. So we'll get to my opinions on that in a minute, okay? But what I want to do is just look at the listing and kind of go through it. I have not looked at it yet. I've been away. I've been at the beach, so I just want to kind of look at it together, if you will, here together. Now, first of all, I'm going to put the screenshot up from Nate Eaton. Again, if you follow me, you'll know I absolutely love and adore Nate Eaton. He's an amazing person, amazing reporter. So make sure to follow him on all platforms, not just for this case, but for anything, even if he's just reporting on the weather. He's an amazing person. Okay, so the thing up here says private info agents. This is a stigmatized property. You can say that again, Jesus. All reports to show must be vetted through the listing agent to be certain the buyer is genuine and is aware of the trauma involved with the home. No curiosity seekers will be allowed access to the home and or grounds. And obviously, right? It's interesting to go look at this, but I would not want to go walk through the house, right? I think it would be very sad and I wasn't related to the victims in this case, right? But just from what we've seen, it would be incredibly sad, and especially walking around on the property. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this, okay? I can't imagine somebody wanting to buy this other than to maybe, it would be cool if somebody could make a memorial. You know what I'm saying? Like if they had the money to do that or whatever, but I get that's a lot, right? So speaking of a lot, let's talk about how much it is and look at some of the pictures of it and whatnot. Now you'll see here on the screen, I'm going to put the screen recording of the listing up here. This is from Realtor.com. We see the infamous, view of the house that we've been seeing. There's 33 pictures, $350,000, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, a 1,894 square feet, 3.75 acre lot. This is in Rexburg, Idaho. You see the address. It's listed as a single family residence. It's been on for 6 days at the time of this recording. 1960 built, 1-car garage. Now, we scroll down just a little bit to property details. Home with lots of potential on country, 3.75 acre lot. Large shop and other small farm buildings, dry pasture area fenced, in Fremont County with Rexburg address and Sugar Salem schools. This is a very tragic situation with this home. Please have your realtor investigate for you. We need not see any more. So bedrooms, 4. Bedrooms in upper level, 1. Bedrooms on main level, 4. Bathrooms, 1 half baths, 1. Full bathrooms, 1. Full bathrooms on main level, 1. And we're not going to get into all the super particulars here, but garage door openers, new paint, partial interior amenities, pantry. Come on. Heating and cooling, fireplace features, number of fireplaces, gas, baseboard, radiant, kitchen and dining, exterior lot, livestock permitted, shed, patio and porch features, sunroom, outbuildings, fencing, chain link, partial, land info. It just goes into that. Driveway, the school information, no HOA, other property information, directions, no for sale sign, residential, building construction, septic, well, whole 9 yards. Okay, so there's that. Property history. Let's see here. Let's just look at this. 2024 relisted. 2024 removed. 2024 listed. 2015 sold. 2015 listing removed. 169. So interesting to see just how much has gone up or whatever. The property taxes 2022 2,325. Honestly, these are very similar to kind of the area that I live in. Home value 350. where is it? Current list price $350. Valuation provider. Okay, so very interesting here. Okay, so let's get into the juicy part of it, if you will, if you want to say that. And that's the pictures, right? Let's take a gander at these. So again, I'm just going to scroll through these. We can kind of stop and talk on them. Now, for me, like the second picture, now again, I get that I'm assuming these pictures were taken recently, right? So when I say that, I'm assuming that a lot of this is set up maybe how Emma and them had it set up. But, one has to wonder what was left over from life before all this happened, you know what I mean? And that's the heartbreaking part to me, because even not knowing the victims in this case, or even the perpetrators or the family members and whatnot, I find it very heartbreaking to look at this. I feel like, you can almost see or feel Tammy in these pictures, right? This is her home, and to learn of what happened is so tragic. And not only that, I'm already going off on a tangent here. Sorry. But, to see what took place in the stand with like Emma and whatnot, I mean, that brings me to, we'll just go ahead and say it. I didn't feel bad for them having to leave the house. You know what I'm saying? At all, right? Like the party ride's over with. It's like you saw the attitude on the stand, and it's like, and you're living in the family home, right? And you feel this way about your mother. I mean, it didn't make sense. Anyways, let's keep going. Okay, so now we're down to this, again, just, it's always interesting. I go on tangents on Realtor, like just randomly, be like, what's it, like if I'm driving through a town, I'll be like, what's it like to live here? And you'll start looking up stuff just to see like, how do people live? What's up? They're very big on showing this room off right here. Now here's the kitchen, interesting little table. The wood floors are beautiful. There's that. The bathroom, and again, these are things like this, like with the bathroom, you know what I'm saying, where you just think of like the things that have taken place in here. I just feel like, no, that's like, the hot water heater, again, the bathroom, the kids' room. And you just sit here and you think, you hear, remembering back to neighbors talking about how excited Tammy was, grandbabies and this kind of thing. And then you look at this and it makes it so much more real, if that makes sense. Especially for people like me, who I was not at the trials. I've not traveled out there to the actual locations or any of that. So it's all been via this way, and listening to people, like I said, like Nate Eaton, talking to a lot of you like at CrimeCon or in the comment section who've gone to trial and done that, got the nuance of seeing Lori in person, or Chad, or Emma on the stand, and these type things. And again, it all brings it back home, and I'm like, God, Tammy probably walked in this room. Tammy, you just sit here and envision her checking in on a grandchild, turning the lights off. Good night, I love you. It gives me goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? Those little moments are what I feel like just haunt pictures like this. That's why I'm like, I could never like walk through the house. You know what I'm saying? Like I would literally be crying the whole time. Okay. Like I'm just very like, just that way. And again, here we are at the home gym, I'll say. And again, I don't know if this was there before, whatever, but this immediately triggers my thought processes on them talking about she was carrying books and she was so winded and she was so this and she was so that and da-da-da-da-da. And again, to me, it didn't even make sense what they were talking about. I'm like, yeah, because she was doing everything. Who wouldn't be? I would be winded. I mean, granted, I talk like I'm 20. I'm in my late 40s, I was going to say, I'd be winded carrying a thing of books too, but I'm like, this is probably expected. Of course she probably is, Again, just more with the rooms and stuff like that, and all the food, and that part's so interesting to me when we've seen. One of the things, that we've kind of, or like, I shouldn't say we, but like for me personally, learning about, and granted, I'm not trying to sit here and say that Chad and them are LDS or any of that type of stuff, like, or Mormon, whatever. I know this is a complete, like, separate, whatever. But learning about different facets of life, different religions and whatnot, the food, the prepping, the stuff like that, right? So seeing the pantries, and I'm also mostly thinking right now of, like, Jody Hildebrand. Like, when they showed her pantry, I'm like, is that food? And apparently that's, like, a very normal thing or whatever. And you can tell that even though this is, to me, not going by the traditional teachings of the LDS and whatnot, but they're offshoot, they're still doing that, these massive amounts of food and whatnot. It's kind of interesting. You just wonder, what have these walls seen? I'm just scrolling through and they're showing, obviously they're showing some of this. No, the stairs, okay. This part right here, the cozy, And I get the technicality of what took place and what I'm referring to, and I can't even remember exactly how it went down right now without looking at notes and whatnot. I mean, I'm literally just doing a quick reaction to this. But the testimony about Pryor trying to make it out, there was no stairs in the house. And the witness on the stand just kind of, him just going that route. And here's one thing, like, I'll use this as an example for the basis in these trials that we watch. And, when you're watching them, and I understand that for both sides, the state and the defense, they're trying to get their outcome, right? I mean, I get it. They're doing their job is what I'm getting at. It's when they'll try and get slippery that I feel like I don't like that. And this whole thing about the stairs and getting a little bit slippery with that during the questioning and whatnot, I don't like that. I don't like it when attorneys do that. Oftentimes we'll see it from the defense, but the state's not immune to that either. I just feel like there's a dynamic to trials and cases that is theatrics, instead of it is what it is, the truth. Here's this. Let's not make it something more than it is, right? To get to the truth. But again, I also respect that everybody's trying to do their jobs. Now, this part, we're going down to the outbuildings and whatnot. Y'all, no. Knowing what took place, absolutely not. Now, here we are at the garage, would appear, or the building, I'm sorry, or it may be the garage or the outbuilding, whatever it is. Another outbuilding with a fence, the outbuildings, the dry pasture, the field, the whatever. The backyard. The whole argument during the trial about is there a backyard and it's 3 acres and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And again, back to the infamous front lawn pictures and then the end. This is the part. So I'm trying to imagine this right here. Legitimately going to see the house like you and a bite or whatever. I'm speechless thinking about it. I could not even begin to think about walking around on the property, knowing what was in that ground, knowing what took place, reliving the last moments of Tylee. Like, what was she thinking? That last moment, like, dude, was she aware of what even happened? You know what I'm saying? Tammy, you know what I'm saying? Inside the house, her last moment, the whole 9 yards. Lori being everything, right? Again, I get Pryor wants to get paid. Okay, I understand that. If someone were able to buy it and just demolish it, I would think, and put a beautiful garden, something, you know what I'm saying? I get that's a tall order, right? It's like, okay, Paul, you go cough up $400,000 and build a garden. I get that, This is talking about a world of druthers. Because for the life of me, and that's the whole thing too, like, remember, I'm going to go off on a little side tangent here, but during this, like, in the beginning of this, when this took place, and it was like, Chad's in jail, whatever, Em and them had taken the property over, and they were posting those pictures on the four-wheelers, like riding over the grave sites and stuff like that. I believe they were over the grave sites, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like kind of a antagonistic type post of them on the four-wheelers in the backyard area, and that beginning to be like, like what? Well, then fast forward to the trial, and we saw the attitude set forth toward not only the mother, basically people who didn't go along with Chad's train of thought, but police officers, and again, I understand there's two sides. They're trying to take away her father and whatnot, but it was like even her husband, it was like this attitude of like, why would you be concerned about them driving by the house? That was one of the concerns brought up. I mean, I'm talking as if we've watched the trial together. I mean, this is kind of a video that's meant for, what I'm saying? Like, the experience that we all went through watching this or whatever. So I apologize if you're brand new to this case here. It's too much to go into. It's almost like a if you know type video, and I apologize for that. But when Emma's husband was up there on the stand talking about this like anger towards the police for driving by and whatnot, and then just her general attitude and like the obvious, they're trying to lie for Chad, in my non-professional opinion. And then again, just to think, now I get you have to do what you do. You have to do what you got to do, right? So oftentimes when we see situations like this or whatever, where say something tragic's happened, but you can't afford to move, you can't afford to do this, you have to live in the house that this terrible thing happened. I understand that, right? However, I don't know if they were in the situation where, like, I don't know. I just, if there was any way for me to live anywhere else knowing what took place here and in the backyard, I 100% would have. 100% would have. I mean, they were across the street before, you know. And again, you just look at it, now that it's all over with, you just look at, I mean, I'm scrolling back up to the picture of the pasture area and whatnot. God, if the trees could talk, what was Alex and Chad saying? What, obviously if you reach back in time and stop it, right? But like, what was going on? Why were they so convinced they were right, and did they really believe their own stories? I think Alex did until the end. Yeah, but Chad, I question. I mean, it's so hard for me to believe that he can believe this stuff. But again, if you look at Emma, if you look at Lori, I think they just still go down that rabbit. I think they still believe it. I think they're still practicing this stuff. I think Chad's still running the show from behind bars and his belief system. It's all he has, right? So anyways, that's it. I just wanted to go through this and look at this because a lot of you email me about it, and I just wanted to kind of speak to it and go through it. I mean, and looking through the pictures, I'm just like, oh my God. I will be fascinated to know what happens with it. It's the same thing as the Chris Watts house, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing as the Chris Watts house, where it's just like, I mean, that imagery, that memory, and that what really happened if walls could talk, I think would haunt those walls forever. And same with his property. I mean, I can't imagine. I know that there's like memorials there along the fences and stuff like that, and I think this is gonna be a location, like the listing said, that's very tragic and speaks to people on a major level, that it gives me goosebumps, just like in the thing on the stand where when talking to Emma's husband, and I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, where the attorney is like, don't you think that this was very traumatizing, that cops would want to drive back by the scene? And just no empathy for that whatsoever. And people want to too, to try and figure out like, how is another human capable of these monstrosities? And I mean, it's a question we'll probably never be able to answer. So anyways, if you're still watching, I do appreciate it. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. Again, have you been to the area? Did you go to the memorial? Have you been there? I wonder where Emma and them are going now. Anyways, that's it. So if you're still watching, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much, and drop some sofas off for myself, for Roscoe and Spirit to come hang out, talk about this case, all the other cases we talk about here at the sofa, and until we do all that, we'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.